Yo, yo, back again. This is Ricky Jones with the news. Yeah, man, I just came across this video. It's from the Did You Know YouTube channel, and they got a check mark. This is from 2017. It's a few years old. Um, it struck me as interesting. The title was Massive City is 6 times the size of New York, but almost no one goes inside it. Hit show more. The description states that in most countries, big cities are where the action is. England is known for theaters, towers, and bridges of London. Also, bland food. And I hear the weather ain't that good. And I've never seen a movie that was in London and it was sunny, like for consecutive scenes. That's strange to me. Also, while anyone stopping by Japan has to experience the electric atmosphere of Tokyo, yeah, I do want to do Tokyo. I don't know what that had to do with the video. So let's go. That's a nice intro. That is a nice intro, did you know?
In most countries, big cities are where the action is. England is known for the theaters, towers, and bridges of
I
London.
just said that.
Well, anyone stopping by Japan has to experience the electric atmosphere in Tokyo for at least a day.
For sure.
For the most part, these famous cities exist as a heart of commerce or as the seat of a country's government.
Okay.
They're incredibly important because of the economy that has sprung up around them as they developed. In the southeastern country of Myanmar, there's a city that's 6 times larger than New York City, and yet somehow very few people have heard of it.
Well, I've heard of Myanmar. Let's see what's going on in my and oh, I apologize, y'all. You know what? I'm on my goofy shit. Sorry about that. Myanmar. What's the news of the day in Myanmar? Myanmar is a country in Asia. It's officially the Republic of the Union of Myanmar. It's also known as Burma. It's 51.9 million people, and their gross domestic production equals 335 billion. So I guess they broke, basically. But let's see what type of news is coming up out of Myanmar. 2 dudes are sentenced to death. That's big news. They beat Nepal to clinch the Hero Gold Cup in the Women's International Soccer Tournament. That's heavy. That's heavy. Man, they are just killing these same 2 dudes in every article. They must have really did something bad. Myanmar Army Chief denies systematic persecution of the Rohingya. That sounds interesting. The Army Chief is denying systematic persecution. Now, if there are people who are saying that there is systematic persecution, let's see why he's denying it. Tokyo, Reuters. Myanmar's army chief, who was facing international calls that he be prosecuted for genocide against the Rohingya Muslims, has denied any systematic army persecution and said such accusations were an insult to his country's honor. In his first detailed interview since the Myanmar military launched a crackdown in 2017, Senior General Min Aung Hlaing cast doubt on UN estimates that some 730,000 Rohingya had fled to Bangladesh. It's one of my favorite producers. And on their accounts of abuses by his forces, saying the refugees had been told what to say. I could believe it. I could believe it. What's up with the Rohingya, man? Why y'all persecuting these people? Okay, they look like they're darker than these other Myanmars that I've seen. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, I've seen all these light-skinned Myanmarese. And this looks like a beautiful place. A very old country. Balloon races? We have balloon races in St. Louis, man. Shout out to the balloon races. It's pretty difficult to get around, I'm guessing, because I don't see a lot of streets. Oh, here we go. There's a street. Well, let's not go too deep into the side note and the political issues of Myanmar, but just so you know, the Rohingya are an ethnic group, so meaning they're the same as everybody else. They just happen to be Muslims, and they've always lived there. It's only a million of these people, so basically they're just the religion that everybody ain't feeling, and they're trying to get rid of these people. But they got a city the size of New York. that no one goes to.
If you're wondering how such a place could exist, you aren't alone. The history of the city of Naypyidaw is unlike anything you've ever heard or seen
Naypyidaw.
before. It's the capital of Myanmar, formerly Burma, and it's developed to hold enough people to fill 120 Manhattans.
Okay.
However, there's something seriously unsettling about this massive city.
Nobody's there.
Up until 10 years ago, the capital of Myanmar was Yangon,
Yangon.
also known as Rangoon. Then, out of
I
the
like
blue
crab
and with no
Rangoon.
explanation, the government decided to abandon it for the city of Naypyidaw, a
Naypyidaw.
decision that baffled many. Naypyidaw is one of the strangest cities on earth, although it has the space to hold more than 1 million.
Man, hold up. Is this like a 10-lane highway in the middle of nowhere? See, that's not a, let's call this the shoulder, because there's some stuff right here. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All these cars are going one way. It's just like whatever. So it's like 6, 7 lanes on one side and 6, 7 lanes on
It
the
has
other.
the space to hold more than 1 million people. This giant and new metropolis is almost completely abandoned. Some might actually call it a ghost town. When the government made the decision to move the location of its Capitol building, many people were baffled. Naypyidaw was a strange choice because even if you had lived in Myanmar your entire life, chances are you didn't even know where Naypyidaw was.
Interesting.
Stranger still, nobody knows when construction began on the new capital or
Hold up. So you telling me? So imagine this. Imagine this, y'all. Imagine right now they were building another Washington D.C. somewhere, and then out the blue, they went to that Washington D.C. But it was 150 times the size of Manhattan.
who exactly built the wide highways and large imposing buildings. Before the city existed, the land was just miles of unsettled jungle. And since Myanmar is run by a strict military regime, those questions may never be answered. The capital city is completely off limits to Westerners. The only photographs that exist are those taken by government officials or approved tourists from other nations.
Hold up. I should have watched this before I made this video. It was just the title. I thought it was just going to be some goofy trolling shit. So, yeah, we're going to go deep into this one.
There are very few residents and only a few government workers are seen out and about each day. It's a strange thing indeed to drive down the city's wide streets and see the sprawling, beautiful homes and know that they too are empty. The entire town actually has Wi-Fi, but it's rarely used since the restaurants and hotels operate with barely any customers.
But how do you know any of that? That's just what they telling you. Like, they could have just sent these pictures out. Just know there's a city in a country of 51 million. The population of Manhattan. Look, y'all. Listen to what this dude is saying. Listen to what this guy is really saying. What in the hell are you trying to tell me? Alright, man. The Manhattan has an estimated population of 1 million people, all living in just a 23 square mile area. Dude, you telling me it's 150? If you packed it like Manhattan, if you packed it sardine wise like Manhattan, you can fit 150 million people right here, and there's only 50 million people in the country. Myanmar.
So if you're looking for incredible download speeds, this could be the place for you to visit. If you can convince them to let you inside, that is.
This place is
Naypyidaw
beautiful.
cost billions of dollars to build,
You damn
and
right it did.
its streets were designed to hold high volumes of traffic, but it exists today as a virtual wasteland. In fact, it's far more common to see people walking down these highways instead of driving down them. The government of Myanmar claims that the city's population is 924,000, but these photographs tell a different story.
No, it doesn't. Because that area can fit. Dude, the motherfucker said that the area is 150 Manhattans. Manhattan holds 1 million people now. This place can hold 1 million people and you wouldn't even know they were there. Literally.
Rumors have been flying for years about Naypyidaw's true history and purpose, including whispers of a series of secret underground tunnels.
Well, I can see that. Look at the
But as
curbs.
long as access is forbidden to outsiders, we'll never know for sure what goes on in this mysterious
It's
deserted city.
going down.
Until
It
something
ain't
changes,
deserted.
we're all
Why would he keep calling it deserted? And it's a million people stay in this place. It's 150 times the size of Manhattan. I'm gonna keep reiterating that point. All right, dude. Whoa. Naypyidaw? Maybe that's it. Nope. Nope. I know I spelled that shit all wrong. Oh man. Naypy. Maybe it's an M. Naypyidaw. Capital of. What is the capital of Myanmar? Naypyidaw. Yangon. Naypyidaw. Naypyidaw is right below China, between Thailand and India. Oh man, oh man. Let's get some more pictures of Naypyidaw. They just keep showing me the same three buildings. Okay, here goes some more. There's another building. Remote capital is still a work in progress. This is the New York Times from October 2007. Naypyidaw, October 4th. It's maybe the world's only national capital without cell phone service or international flight connections. It certainly doesn't have traffic problems. The capital moved from Yangon, formerly known as Rangoon, to Naypyidaw began in '05, and it was hastily completed last year as civil servants were taken by trucks 250 miles to the north. Foreign journalists were invited by the government for a rare visit. It's 8 to 10 hours from the old capital of Yangon on a two-lane road used by ox carts. Naypyidaw holds the promise of grandeur but carries so few vehicles that there are hardly any traffic lights. City Hall is imposing yet odd, a vaguely Soviet-style building with peaked Burmese roof. The city has 1,200 new four-story apartment blocks, but their cookie-cutter nature and wide spacing is closer to a soulless suburban development than a bustling city life. Many workers were unhappy when first forced to move to Naypyidaw, which translates to abode of kings in Burmese. Dude, they telling us what this place is. Oh, my fault, my fault. List of Burmese monarchs. Boom. The Guardian. After 130 years of obscurity, Myanmar's forgotten royals make a comeback. What is the year and what is the date? This is 2016 December. The descendants of exiled King Tibal sense a revival and hope to bring his body home a century after he died in India. Let's get to it. Let's get to it. In November, 131 years after this dude entered exile, about 100 royal descendants were allowed into Mandalay Palace to commemorate the end of the king's reign. Previous ceremonies were held in secret. Now, I'm trying to see if at any point they're in Naypyidaw. Only now the Myanmar people are learning about their royal past. So they were taken over by the British, English, and French forces. So they were slaves. Mm-mm. They got a British filmmaker making a documentary about Burma's lost royals. Oh man, oh man. So they're not saying much about it, but obviously this country was taken over years ago, and as of 3 years ago, it looked like they're trying to make a comeback. Rent is free for civil servants in Naypyidaw and Yangon. Prices of everyday goods are high. Many spouses and children were left behind because of school and jobs. Why would you have to leave your family behind for school and jobs when you're coming to a city that holds 150 million people? To compensate for the fact that the prices are so damn high and you had to leave your family behind, the residents here get 10 TV stations. That's 6 more than you get in the capital of Yangon. They only got 4 stations, even though all of them are government channels. Mm. Prison Planet, boy. Rent is free. The city enjoys 24 hours of free electricity, which is a rarity outside of military bases. Thank you, New York Times, for breaking it down for us 12 years ago. Some new residents have taken to the city. Miet Keen, the 40-year-old wife of a railways department clerk, was setting up a table outside of her apartment to sell noodle salad. I want to supplement our income, and business is good since there are very few shops in Naypyidaw. Her husband earns nearly $32 a month, and their son earns $22, substantially more than the majority of Myanmar's citizens. Substantially more. The wife sells noodles. The husband makes 32. The son makes 22, and they make substantially more than the majority of Myanmar's citizens. Than Than, married to a driver for the mining corporation, was also happy, even in an apartment where the family couch is an old bench seat from a van. Mm, 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 mm. Bruh,
All left to imagine what's really going on in this haunting setting. This is just
we know what's going on. Look into it further if you get time. I'm gonna revisit this in another video. But wow, this is interesting. This is a very interesting situation. How this really puts into perspective, number one, how large of a plane we live on, and number two, how you can just really make people totally disappear, put them out of the media cycle, put them out of the public eye, and it's just all about what's the next news story of the day. This is heavy information, man. Look into it. Myanmar, the capital is Naypyidaw. The city is 150 times the size of Manhattan. It holds about 1 million people, and it seems like all of those 1 million people work for the government. And I don't know what's going on with the rest of the country. How they can build such an immaculate expanse of a place and leave the other 50 million people out to rot. But like the article said, the king is back. Time to end Myanmar's king in exile. 131 years. Somebody got with the program. It's Ricky Jones, and it's the news.